welcome back and happy 2025. This is the first video I am filming and uploading in 2025. I want to wish you all a happy new year. Of course, we just finished 2024. Now I can kind of talk to you about all of the books I read. I decided first I'm going to show you a few of my stats from Storygraph, and then we're going to tier rank the books I read this year. So let's get into it. Here, your 2024 reading wrap up. I finished 42 books and 16,788 pages. I'm pretty proud of that as someone who works full time and also has a lot of other hobbies. I think 42 is a pretty solid amount to manage to read in 1 year. And of course the 16,000 pages. The first book was Powerless and the last book was The Right Move. I haven't spoken about The Right Move yet. That will be in a future video, so stay tuned for that. My mood map. So clearly we were like fairly high spirits, and then for whatever reason in August it drifted down. Don't know what I read in August that made the mood drop, but here we are. And here's the books and pages read each month. You can see, I think April was my best month. I read 6 books and 2,500 pages, which I think is crazy. Whatever was going on in April, good for me. And then my lowest was May and September. For both of those, I only read 1 book. In September, I read the guts of another book, as you can see, like 779 pages. So I read like a book and a half, and I think it was the same in May. Yeah, 897. So those months, I think I was near to 2. I met my reading goal. I actually surpassed it. I think I set it at 36, I believe. And the same with pages. I set a page goal, which I also bet. And let's have a look at the genres. We got a lot of romance, 22 romance books, contemporary, fantasy, young adult, literary. So thing about the romance is I read a lot of romance, but also a good bit of romantasy, or like fantasy with romance. So because of that, some of these books that are in this 22 are also in the fantasy. Why it always ends up ahead of fantasy, because most books I read do have a classification of romance. For example, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. They're fantasy, but they are also romance. So that's what's going on there. And then contemporary and literary, I was trying a few new types of books, a bit of a mix in there. And obviously there are more genres. These are just the main ones. Next is my longest book was House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J Maas. And my shortest book was Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood. Self-explanatory. The average length of book you read was 394 pages. I think that makes sense, and that's a pretty good amount of pages, I reckon. And it took me around 8 days to finish each book. I'd kind of argue that statistic, because it would take me 8 days whether I read that day or not to finish books. So I think Storygraph should probably count your active reading days, like days you actually read. The days I didn't read really skewed that average. A bit weird, if you get what I'm saying. Least time spent, 1 day. Before the Coffee Gets Cold is a very short book, very quick to get through. I read it clearly very quickly. And then most time spent, 60 days. So this, and it was Iron Flame. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, I started it in September, I think, and then I went away on holiday. And so I didn't read then for 2 weeks, because I was not bringing Iron Flame with how heavy it was with me on holiday. So for those 2 weeks, I didn't touch Iron Flame. See how it gets a bit skewed? The authors you spent most time with in 2024, are we shocked? Ali Hazelwood, Stephanie Garber, and Emily Henry. Like, again, all such wins that I'm always talking about. My average rating was 4.32. I can be a bit biased. That is something I do acknowledge. My 2024 5-star reads. And that's kind of crazy that there isn't that many. I always feel like I give too many books 5 stars, but here we are. What is it, 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 5 stars. It's only a quarter. You can see here are my ratings. Yeah, there is definitely a load of books in that 4.5 to 5 star range. So some months were better than others. September, the highest average rating was 5 stars because I only read one book, and April was the most pages, which I've already told you, and Fourth Wing is the most shelved, no shocks there. And then You Could Be So Pretty is the least shelved. I actually said that in my wrap up like book tag video, end of year book tag. The highest average rating, 4.46, is Fourth Wing, and my rating was 5 stars. I explored the works of 19 new authors, including Rebecca Yarros, Kate Goldbeck, and Jessa Hastings. Yes, I was actually introduced to Jessa Hastings this year. 25 of the books you read were part of a series. That's pretty interesting. So like over half. It was only new stories and ideas for you this year, no rereads. I have too many books to read, so I barely ever get time to reread books. And you finished all the books you picked up this year, no DNFs. Yes, I am pretty bad for that. I don't like to DNF, so I'll struggle through a book even when I don't like it. You read 21 books from your own shelves this year. That might not be too accurate because I don't always shelve my books properly when I buy them. And then here's my little glance at 2024. Now I want to tier rank these books. I never did a December wrap up. I'm going to join it with January. The 2 books I read in December were Julius Caesar and The Right Move. I'm also doing a video which features The Right Move heavily, so you'll see that soon. I don't know when that'll be up, but you'll see that. Because of that, I am not actually going to tier rank them with the others. There's no point, in my opinion, tier ranking books you guys haven't heard of yet. Let me show you my tier thing. The way I want to do my tiers is by how likely I am to reread these books. I was trying to think of like a fun metric to kind of help me rank stuff, because I find it kind of hard to pick where I'd put things. I decided rereads. Let me introduce you to my tiers. At the bottom, we have You Couldn't Pay Me. Very self-explanatory. You could not pay me to reread these books. That's never happening. Not a chance. Next is Not Gonna Look at This Again. It's kind of like, it wasn't bad, but it's on the shelf and it's out of my face. I just don't care that much about it. Next, we have I Had Fun. I recommend. I won't read again. These are the ones I quite enjoyed, but I don't see any point in me ever rereading them. They're kind of like the mid books, the mid to good books. Next up is Would Happily Reread. Now we're into like the good books, the above average books in my opinion. And then the top, let me reread it right now. So that is the tier of I would drop everything right now if I didn't have such a long TBR to read these books again. So those are our tiers. I'm not going to go into plot or anything on these books because all of these I have reviewed on this channel. So if you're curious about longer review style commentary on these books, head on over. I have a whole playlist about monthly reading reviews. Check them out there, because this video would be 7 years long if I spoke about all 40 of the books I'm going to rank here. Let's just jump into it. Powerless by Lauren Roberts. So I would say I really liked this and I am continuing with the series. So I'm putting this in Would Happily Reread. I like the premise with the trials and stuff going on. I think it's just like fun. I will read the next one this year, hopefully, and maybe even the third one, depending on when that comes out. Next, we have Hamnet, and I didn't enjoy this. So yeah, you could not pay me to read that again. The Score by Elle Kennedy, not gonna look at this again. I've actually given my copy away. It used to be here. I gave it away. That's how I feel about The Score. Caraval, let me reread right now. Caraval felt like such an iconic moment of my year. It's a new comfort series and Stephanie Garber is a new must-read author. None of this is serious. I had fun. I recommend. I won't read again. I liked it, didn't adore it. Next, the Bridgerton book, whatever. I'm not gonna look at this again. Like, it's one of my favorite Bridgertons, but I still think there's nothing that crazy standout about the Bridgerton books. And if you want to read it or watch it, I would choose watching it. The only downside to the Netflix series is how long it takes to come out. You're not getting anything extra from this book, I don't think. You Could Be So Pretty, would happily reread. A fantastic book. Holly Bourne is a fantastic author. Stolen Air by Holly Black, also would happily reread. I love Holly Black's writing. I've loved all of her books, really, so. Next we have Fourth Wing, would happily reread. I feel like it was kind of an iconic moment this year to finally come into Fourth Wing. The series doesn't quite top my favorite fantasies of all time. It's a different kind of 5-star. How Do You Like Me Now? I don't recommend this, so yeah. I'm sorry, Holly Bourne. I don't like putting a Holly Bourne book in like lower, but I didn't really enjoy it that much. Didn't find it quite as relatable as Holly Bourne's other works, maybe. Now we've Magnolia Parks. I don't quite feel like it's one of my favorite books in the world, but I would happily reread it. Girlhood, instant let me reread right now. I would reread it tomorrow. Legendary is going into would happily reread. I would happily reread that whole series if I could. Checkmate, instant let me reread right now. I love Ali Hazelwood, and that is my favorite Ali Hazelwood book, I have decided. Sarah J Maas book. I had fun. I recommend, but I won't read that again. Yeah, it wasn't the best. It wasn't my favorite Sarah J Maas book. So Before the Coffee Gets Cold can also go on I had fun. I recommend. I won't read again. It's a quick read. It's quite good, but would rather read other things than reread Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Twisted Hate. It's between these two, but I'm gonna put it into not gonna look at this again. It wasn't bad. I just don't adore the series. Lightlark is going into I had fun. I recommend. I won't read again because it's Lightlark. I enjoyed it. I did have fun, and I do think some people will like it. It is typical YA fantasy. Bride, instant let me reread. Ali Hazelwood. That's all I have to say about that one. Thunderhead, I quite liked that. Would happily reread, and I'm excited to read the next book, which I did buy recently. And Not in Love, I'm gonna put in would happily reread. I don't want to put all Ali Hazelwood books in the top tier, so I'm trying to engage my critical mind, put her in the second tier. Babel, I would happily reread that, and that might be controversial, but I feel like I need to be fully engaged for Babel. With Caraval, Girlhood, Checkmate, and Bride, no matter where I am, I can pick that up and I will have a good time. With Babel, I would happily reread it in the right time and like sit down. Get a Life, Chloe Brown, would happily reread. Love the Brown sisters. You and Me on Vacation, has to be a let me reread right now. It's Emily Henry, and I'm gonna stick Funny Story up there too, and I think that's obvious. Gone Girl, I had fun. I recommend. I won't read again. I enjoyed it. The movie is also very good. Twisted Lies, I liked more than Twisted Hate, so I'm gonna put it in I had fun. I recommend. Won't read again. Two Can Play, not gonna look at this again. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it's an audiobook only. I'm not gonna waste my free audiobook minutes on a book I've already read. Cruel Winter with You, probably not gonna look at that again either. It's fun though. Finale, I am going to put in I had fun. I recommend. I won't read again. I didn't enjoy it as much as the other two, but I still quite liked it, especially with the Jax stuff. China Mavel, this census taker, You Couldn't Pay Me, and if you've seen the reading video where I read this, you know why. Red Rising, would happily reread, and I want to continue that series. Hidden Bodies, You Couldn't Pay Me, and again, I think that's self-explanatory. The show is way better. Piranesi, I had fun. I recommend. I won't read again. The Atlas 6, I quite liked The Atlas 6. Yeah, I had fun. I recommend. I won't read again. I think I enjoyed it a lot, but I'd rather read the next book in the series and reread it. There's no need. Wildfire, I think I will put her in would happily reread, because I like Wildfire. She had her moment. Iron Flame, I'm gonna put it in I had fun. I recommend. I won't read again. Percy Jackson, no matter what, let me read it right now, and I could finish it and devour it in about 4 hours. Love it. Lore Olympus, would happily read again, and I'm excited for the next ones. Finally, You Again can go into I had fun. I recommend. I won't read again. So I'm actually gonna quickly reorganize this. so that they are actually in order. We're back. That is my tier ranking for 2024. So 2025, I'm hoping, is going to be a fun reading year, and it's now been a year since I started making YouTube videos, which is also very exciting for me. This year, I'm hoping to read 35 books. I decided to be nice to myself because there's 1 or 2 video games coming out this year that I'm quite excited for. And also, I want reading to be fun and not feel like I'm being forced into reading, or, you know, like I don't want it to make it not fun for myself. So I'm being nice to myself and I'm saying 35 books. That's my plan for 2025. I hope you had a really lovely new year. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, here's another one that YouTube recommends for you. I hope you look forward to all of the videos coming in 2025. I will see you next time.